Here today on a spray foam roof with a gravel top. I present to you probably the worst flat roof in existence that's still around. Possibly the worst thing in the last 120 years though. So, of course, spray foam can't handle direct sun exposure. It has a hail resistance of about 3/4 of an inch. So that was a pipe boot, that's a lead pipe boot that was then spray foamed over and then coated. This is what it looks like when the gravel peels back. And now this is all, see how I just embedded those rocks? That's how soft and squishy it is. I'm wearing Cougar paws, so this is like a couch cushion on my foot. So being able to squish anything in shouldn't be possible. Damage is there. That's a roof drain. And so they put that guard there because it prevents the gravel from getting in there, clogging the rings. Prevents other wind-driven debris. Plastic bags are pretty common. Exhaust pipes. So these are known as sleepers. Some people just call them pipe stands. There's a bunch of different names for them. Some people call them caddy. That's a brand name, but a lot of people have started just calling them that in this area. And so this is a gas line supported by those wood blocks. Now those wood blocks should have something underneath them, like a piece of membrane that helps distribute the weight. Otherwise it's just pressing down constantly, and it's pressing that gravel down into the foam. And this is what a repair, not, again, I'm a consultant, not a roofer. Well, I'm a former roofer. I did not do this repair. What this looks like to me is they put down a base coat. They clearly spray foamed it. Spray foamed a thin one layer on top of it, and that's why you get all these bubbles. Improper adhesion. You should never add on spray foam on top of spray foam. It just doesn't stick right. Even with preparation, once that spray foam's set, by code around here, you're not allowed to let it set for more than 3 days and then put another layer. Realistically, if you would have gotten it in the first 3 months, it would have been fine. This is years after the fact, so you can see all the bubbling and everything. You can see the rows in it from how they did it. So what it looks like to me is they put a base coat on that was gray, possibly Karnak even from the looks of it, if I'm being honest. And then when they went to put a top coat, it rained out before it set, and so this is what happens when that looks like this. We've got more pipe boots there, more exposed areas, and you can see the holes that are being driven into them. HVAC unit on the rooftops. This is a good guard to have. Sorry for the noise levels. So those are condenser units. That's when you want it real cold. If you're inside of a gas station, you might have condenser units like that to keep your freezers and your fridges real nice and cold. But they can be used for many things, including making sure a controlled environment exists, temperature-wise. Got your boxes, your gas lines, your water lines. That's where your outlet, where you're going to plug in. Now here's a drain without the guard. They haven't put the guard back or the gravel back. Oh yeah, look at that pool. Nice and white. Yep, so that was definitely washed off mid-repair. Way before it set. More fine examples of what hail does to spray foam. We got about 1.5 inches in this neighborhood. It's the worst it's seen in probably 15 years since this was put on, and that's what it does to it. I do have some old abandoned units, but yeah, I just wanted to do a quick walkthrough. Now if you're trying to find hail damage to this, here's the problem. How do you see it past the gravel? You sweep that gravel back. First off, you're going to cause 20 times more issues than you're trying to discover if you sweep it back and you don't do it right. And I don't recommend doing it even if you're a roofer. Maybe if you're trained in this type of roof, but overall, trying to move it's going to cause more issues. You can search for hail along the penetrations, but an insurance company doesn't like that. This is one of the most hail fragile roofs in existence. If your shingle roof next door has damage, this roof was obliterated by comparison. What you can look out for is walk around, find the bare spots in it. After about 5 years, everyone has bare spots. lot of times they're around the perimeter because they're holding back the rock there on the edge, even with the gravel stop. And sometimes you can just find them out in the field. And that's it. That's a quick little 5-minute walkthrough on SPF, spray foam roof. Benefit to SPF, it's self-insulating. So, I mean, it is what it sounds like. The roof and the insulation is the exact same thing. Don't want to put it anywhere that has air intakes. There have been some studies that are starting to suggest that it off-gases certain chemicals that could be carcinogens. Nice formaldehyde, stuff like that. But there's been some counter studies to those as well. And unfortunately, it boils down to it's hard to know what is being paid for by a competitor trying to shut it down and what's being paid for by the industry in order to promote a god-awful product. That said, though, lowest tail resistance, lifespan's pretty bad. Just walking on it can create issues if it's got a gravel top or not. Not very resistant against UV, not very great against ponding water. There's really not any benefit to it other than it's cheap and self-insulating. And it's called monolithic. Monolithic means that essentially there are no seams. And you can see that. Every curb is a part of the roof system, a part of the spray foam. Every pipe is too. It's all sprayed on in one solid piece. And so those are the benefits. Honestly, and it's dirt cheap. I forgot about that. Labor-wise and material-wise. That said, I've never seen it successfully used. Like I said, this roof is about 15 years old. And the takeaway from that should not be, it can last 15 years. Because this roof has been apparently leaking since 6 months after it was put on. Which is about what I would give it. I did a lot of these for the military at one point. I'm not going to go into what bases used to love this stuff. But I would say average lifespan, because certain hard rains can damage it. And there's actually studies out there proving that a lot of birds can damage it. Bird poop. Not just pecking at it, but literally the force of birds pooping in the sky can be hard enough to break the outer shell of spray foam. Now again, we're not talking about your average small parakeet or hummingbird kind of bird. We're talking more seagulls, ravens, oversized pigeons could do it sometimes, although that's rarer, but I've seen it happen. Foot traffic. It's pretty much the worst roof in almost every measurable metric other than the ones I named. And there you have it. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments. Always happy to answer.